I'm Wyatt Cash with Scoop News Group, and we're here at FedScoop's ITModTalks with Sam Curry, Chief Security Officer for Cybereason and President of Cybereason Government, Inc. Sam, thank you so much for joining us and welcome.
Thanks for having me. I'm super looking forward to the conversation.
So we're a little more than a year now into the Biden administration. Where have you seen some of the greatest progress in IT modernization in the federal government?
Well, there's clearly an emphasis in the Biden administration on modernizing infrastructure generally. We've seen the normal cloud influence, but I'd be remiss if I didn't say the most significant thing was the executive order in May around, in particular, cyber, things like a secure bill of materials, what to do with patch management, vulnerability management, deploying EDR across agencies and departments. This was raising the bar, in effect, and it's been followed up with other missives and memos from the White House. And you can see the executive branch of the government starting to move into place. It is incredibly important to do the cyber piece right. And so I'm very glad that's happening.
Well, diving down a little deeper on that, how has IT modernization helped federal agencies actually get a better handle on securing their most valuable systems?
Yeah, there have been legacy systems all over for a very long time. Most of those, while many of them are under extended support or still supported by the manufacturers, many are not. And so it's very hard to patch those, often custom work, having to find ways to deal with those systems. That's probably not optimal. It's much better to be on a current operating system, a current set of applications, and to effectively subscribe to things like cloud services. Basically simplify the management of the stack. And the reason we want to do this, incidentally, the reason we want modern IT is to do better security. And the reason we want better security, among other things, the reason we want better security is so that there's no limitation on the new things we can do with government services. It's the old brakes on a car analogy. They're not there so you can go slow, they're there so you can go really fast.
Good analogy, as always. Next, I'd like to explore a little bit about the fact that, the White House also issued an executive order on customer experience. So how have federal agencies also taken steps to deliver better digital services to the American public?
Yeah, it's important in any design, and this pressure is always on the private sector. It's important in any design to really make it about the user at the center. It isn't about checklists or producing new features that never get used. If they're not used, they're useless. In fact, they may be a detriment because you got to maintain them and you accumulate technical debt that way. So I think it's generally a good principle, going all the way over to agile development, generally a good principle to put the user in the middle. I hate when I get into a room and there's a whiteboard or a presentation and it's a technical architecture and there's no person in the picture, right? We need to remember, who are they? What do they care about? What are their use cases? What are they going to try and do? And in a sense, this is reminding the government that it is in service to those very same end users. It has the opportunity to make government more transparent, more accessible, and to actually deliver those services better.
A great point. And then lastly, Sam, what across the federal IT landscape stands out to you as having the biggest potential or need for modernization in the coming year or two?
Yeah, I think one of the hardest things for people to understand is that very often when we manage things, we're trying to get efficiencies in the system, which usually means tuning it and removing inefficiencies. So some of that has to happen. But the degree to which we got to put in inefficiencies, what I mean by that is redundancy, so that you don't have a single point of failure. The degree to which you have to make it so that it's resilient, it's anti-fragile, it's robust, and it can come back in an attack. This was some of the principles the internet was built on. And it's time we went a little higher up in the stack and make sure that services, and government services in particular, critical infrastructure, they maintain those same values. So it's not all about tuning and efficiency, although that's important. It's also about how do we secure it? How do we make sure it's available? And how do we make sure nobody can take it away?
Absolutely. Well, Sam Curry, thank you so much for joining us and sharing some of your insights on IT modernization in the federal government.
Thanks for having me, Ryan.
And look for more of our coverage on IT modernization on fedscoop.com. Thanks for tuning in.